The studio lights burned bright against the polished stage floor, but the boy standing at the center hardly noticed. 19-year-old Eli Ramon from Cebu had spent his whole life dreaming of moments like this moment, where people finally heard the voice his late mother used to call a prayer God forgot to whisper. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything that brought him here, the crowded jeepney rides to every singing contest, the nights he fell asleep practicing because he was too tired to stand, and the memory of his mother humming beside him while cooking rice. He looked small on the enormous talent show stage, but there was something humble and steady about him that made the audience quiet even before he spoke. When the host asked, "Why are you here today?" Eli didn't give a dramatic speech or a rehearsed answer. He simply said, "Because my mom believed I had a voice worth hearing and I want to honor her." People in the front row exchanged soft, sympathetic glances. Eli didn't see them. He had lifted his eyes to the judges, trying to read their expressions. One judge nodded encouragingly. Another leaned forward with interest. The third, famous for her brutally honest critiques, kept her face entirely still. Eli swallowed hard. The music began, a slow piano instrumental that flowed like warm, rising light. Eli closed his eyes and sang the first note. It was round, pure, and carried far beyond the stage. In an instant, the audience felt something shift. This wasn't a boy trying to impress anyone. This was a boy offering a piece of his soul. His tone was gentle but steady, like someone who had learned strength quietly, without applause. The vulnerability in his voice was unmistakable, and even the harshest judge raised an eyebrow. For 4 full minutes, he sang without breaking, pouring out every memory, every hope, every heartbreak he had carried since childhood. The song wasn't about losing someone, it was about loving them so deeply that even losing them couldn't erase the gift they left behind. The studio was silent, as if everyone forgot to breathe. And then, right in the middle of a sustained high note, the toughest judge suddenly raised her hand. "That's enough." The words hit the room like a dropped stone. The audience gasped. Eli's voice cracked into silence. His face drained of color. That judge was known for stopping contestants only when they were terrible or worse, forgettable. He blinked rapidly, unsure what he had done wrong. The other judges looked startled. The crowd murmured angrily. Someone even yelled, "Let him finish." Eli stepped back from the microphone, trying to keep his breathing steady. He felt like a little boy again, standing outside the school choir room, begging for someone to believe in him. His hands trembled harder now. He gripped the microphone stand to stay grounded. The judge leaned back, folding her arms. "You sang beautifully," she said. The whole room froze. "But I stopped you because that wasn't your real voice." The other judges exchanged sharp looks. Eli stared at her, more confused than ever. She continued, "You've been holding back. Your tone is safe, careful, polite. You're singing like someone who's afraid to be too much." Eli's throat tightened. He wasn't expecting critique. He wasn't expecting anything except maybe a simple yes or no. But the judge leaned forward again, this time with unexpected gentleness. "I want to hear the version of you that your mother believed in," she said softly. "Not the version trying to impress us. I want the one who sings because he has to." The room shifted again, this time warmer, more grounded. Eli swallowed hard, feeling his heartbeat thudding against his ribs. Something in her words broke open a place inside him he had kept tightly locked. The other judge spoke next. "Take a breath. Start again. No music this time, just you." A ripple of emotion swept through the crowd. Restarting a performance, especially a cappella, was almost unheard of. Contestants rarely got second chances like this. But the boy from Cebu didn't waste it. He nodded once, then stepped toward the center of the stage. The silence wrapped around him like a cloak. He closed his eyes. He pictured his mother sitting at their old kitchen table, smiling at him with the tired but loving eyes of a woman who had worked too hard for too little. He remembered her humming while mending his uniform, whispering, "Someday, Eli, someday someone will hear you." And then he began. His voice came out raw, trembling at the edges, but fuller, alive in a way that felt entirely new. He didn't aim for perfection. He aimed for truth. He let the cracks stay. Let the emotion bleed through. Let the fear turn into power. He sang like a boy who had finally allowed himself to feel everything he had been holding back for years. Halfway through, the audience rose to their feet. Not because he was flawless, because he was honest. One of the judges, a producer famous for discovering breakout stars, blinked rapidly, trying to hide his tears. The strict judge didn't bother hiding hers. When Eli finished, the silence that followed was different, deep, reverent, transformative. He looked down, unable to tell whether he had failed or succeeded. Then the first judge stood. Eli, that was the voice of someone who has lived, loved, lost, and still found the courage to stand here. That was the voice of a true artist. The next judge rose too, clapping slowly, meaningfully. But it was the strict judge, the one who had stopped him, who delivered the moment that changed everything. She stood, walked toward the center of the table, and said, "You reminded me why this show exists, not to find polished performers, but people with stories, heart, and something real to say." The audience erupted into applause. But she wasn't finished. "You may not know this," she said, her voice shaking, "but my son, he would have been close to your age now. He used to sing in the kitchen, just like you described. I lost him 5 years ago, and tonight, for the first time since then, I felt that same warmth in the room. You brought it back." Eli pressed a hand to his chest, overwhelmed. "I stopped you," she continued, "because your first performance was beautiful, but your second one healed something in me I thought was gone forever." The crowd quieted, listening with full attention. "I'm giving you my golden vote," she said. The studio exploded. Eli staggered as confetti burst from above and the music started playing. Tears ran down his cheeks. He didn't try to wipe them away. He let them fall freely, each one a small release of years of struggle, sacrifice, and silent prayers. He looked up, whispering, "We did it, Mama." But what happened next was the part that nobody expected, the part that made the story go viral around the world. The strict judge stepped away from the table, walked onto the stage, and pulled Eli into a gentle embrace. "Thank you," she whispered. "You gave me something I didn't know I needed." The cameras caught the exact moment. A grieving mother finding comfort in the voice of a boy who had known loss too. That tenderness, that shared humanity, reached millions of viewers who later said they cried at their screens without knowing exactly why. And Eli, overwhelmed but grounded, said only, "Thank you for hearing me." The message people carried home that night was simple but powerful, that sometimes the world doesn't need perfection, just honesty. Sometimes strangers heal us in ways we never expect. And sometimes a 19-year-old boy from Cebu can walk onto a stage, open his heart, and remind everyone listening that kindness, courage, and vulnerability can change lives, and that a single voice, imperfect but brave, can be enough to bring people together, even if only for 4 minutes, or for one unforgettable second chance.